hated The Legend of Korra, but I actually like the character Korra because she reminds me of me, except for the fact that I was allowed to grow. The Legend of Korra is a dedication to Murphy's Law. What could go wrong will go wrong. And I do not trust the writers. Something is fundamentally broken in those individuals because at the end of the day, they did every possible thing wrong to this character that just didn't really make sense throughout the story. And it's not because the character was actually stubborn. In a lot of ways, they just did things to force her to not evolve. For example, starting from the very beginning, she was an avatar from young and they trained her from young. You would think that in going through that training over the course of 10 years, somebody would notice how her personality is and adjust the training to how she would fight. And it's bad because White Lotus even said that she wasn't ready and Katara just let her go. And she also didn't even know how to airbend. So she had to be one with herself to learn how to airbend, but she had 10 years worth of training. That doesn't make sense. That's like Goku having 10 years worth of training, but he has no idea how to do the Kamehameha. That's a simple format of yourself. Speaking of which, Korra is like what would happen if Vegeta was the main character of Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball happened in the exact same way that it happened already. But that's to tell you how much they hated the character because Toriyama hated Vegeta. Rest in peace to the GOAT. And you can tell based off of a lot of the fans of hers stating that she had it harder than Aang. If you're a person that subscribed to that, I want you to understand something. That's actually really hauntingly stupid. I want you to remember Aang is a war child. Aang was sleeping outside and constantly on the run from the firebending nation, okay? And they were everywhere. So imagine Korra having it harder than him when she has a lot of backing from the police, the military, Katara, people to teach her, and she's sleeping indoors with air conditioning potentially and stuff like that. Like you got to understand, she was living in a semi modern day time. How would she have it harder than Aang? And reasonably speaking, she kind of did. But that just tells you that the writers were purposefully putting her in as much danger as possible. Like her first major villain was a bloodbender, and you would think that her waterbending would evolve, but instead it was her airbending that was, I guess, unlocked. Bloodbending can be something to be used for healing if done in the right way, not the evil way, but that just disappeared. So she didn't even have the innovation with that. And then for the rest of the series is just her encountering people who are more innovative than her and her just fighting for her life. And I distinctly remember Korra just getting a fade ran on her in public viewing, so it makes me question the writers hardcore. But even more so, I am generally afraid and concerned for the new Avatar because she's in a dystopian environment, and dystopia is always going to be terrible in every way, shape, or form, even for children, and especially for children, let alone somebody who's being hunted for a crime that she didn't commit. So just think about that. Till next time.